Thing work? Oh, good. All right, thank you. It's always great to follow Joel. It's always great to be back in Santa Barbara, and I really do feel that power of 10 campuses. It's really quite a wonderful thing. I think unique in the whole world to be part of such a powerful force to make change and to educate. So I will talk to you about what started out sort of as an experiment and as sort of a self-dare that turned into a colossal investment of time, but now I can reap the benefits of that investment. And it was an experiment where I was struggling with a very large intro bio course, which I'm sure many of you can relate with. So what I'm going to do is talk about the course itself, which will seem very familiar, and the reason that I wanted to try to completely upend the design of this course. I'll talk about the features of that redesigned course and how I used videos coupled with a technology run by a company called PlayPosit. And there's others like Edpuzzle and other even open source ones available. But I used PlayPosit to create interactive video experiences. And so that was the sort of the special sauce that I needed to move the classroom materials into videos, but have those videos actually engaging. And that's the real challenge. In an upper division class, I had referenced students to see videos, and since I had posted them, I could look at the usage patterns, and they all start the video 2 minutes in. 80% of the watchers have left, and only about 5 to 10% of the people who started the video will finish it. And I imagine that a lot of students just skip through, and oh, it's never mind, I'll go back to Snap, Grammar, InstaChat, or whatever they're called, whatever the young people are doing today. And then I'm going to talk about the surprising positive effects on exam performance and engagement on the part of the students. And I will pull some stuff for the teaching evaluations. I know they suck, but they're a good measure of consumer satisfaction, at least as far as the students are concerned. But I'll use the exam grades to talk about performance. Many of you will recognize what we call Bio 5A. It's the first course for the majors in the life sciences. It's a standard structure, has 3 hours a week of lecture. There's 1 hour a week of discussion run by a teaching assistant. And those classes are a maximum enrollment of 25 in the discussions. And we have a separate laboratory course that many campuses have as well. For our version of 5A, the lab is a or prerequisite. On other campuses, it's not. The enrollees in this course are very mixed up. A quarter of them are engineers, since they require that for their degree. Just over half of them are in the sciences, and I'm surprised. We have a growing number in the humanities. Turns out they're pre-med wannabes that are sneaking in and taking just what they need to do all the pre-med stuff and then avoiding all that upper division bio. Good for them. We have an enrollment of some 100 to 400. I've taught it to as many as 558, and that's small potatoes. Many of you are teaching to 800 students or more, which is such a high number. Here are the problems, and this is not going to be surprising to anyone. The students walk in with a very diversely different set of expectations, backgrounds, and preparedness. And for me, the biggest struggle has always been this very, very deeply entrenched memorization mentality that colors everything that they choose to do. And I see a lot of people nodding, and it's because it's like, well, why should I pay attention and even study for a clicker question next class when the exam's going to be in 2.5 weeks, and I'm just going to study the night before anyway? And so you can't do stuff in real time, you can't encourage them to do any activities, and it's just horrible. And there's also this disdain. When students see a syllabus for the first time, they go, okay, what can I skip? They're not interested in what are my opportunities to learn. Student overconfidence, uncertainty over difficulty levels on exams and assessments, and a strong lack of those. When there's 500 students, it's not like you can give 8 midterms so that they have lots of time to practice. And for me, the last straw was doing nothing different than being my affable, entertaining self, and having changed very little in the course. Suddenly, the students changed. Yet again, have we all noticed that they change every 5 or 6 years, and that suddenly they're like, hey, this worked 5 years ago, now it doesn't work at all. What happened? Well, they change. And in fall of 16, my attendance, and this was measured through participation using Kahoot, so it wasn't for credit, but everybody could participate. And I just counted the number of attendees or signees, and it dropped very quickly. By the first third of the class, I was down to about 30% of enrollment by like week 3 or 4. And you know, the room actually only had 2/3 of the room would be full with full enrollment. By the time you're down to 1/3 of the enrollment, the class looks like there's no class. It looks like people are just, you know, coming in for some study session or something. And you can't teach a class to 60 students when there's 200 enrolled. What is that? you get mad, you start to get frustrated, and my DF rate was 25% that quarter. They deserved it. They were horrible. All right. So I said, that's it. I'm going to do something different. Now, how does my daughter, who's now a junior, which is ridiculous, she was one when I started at UCR. See, I don't change. I'm not any more mature, certainly. But those kids, they grow up so fast. When my kid wants to learn something, what does she do? She goes to YouTube, right? That's how she learned to solve not just the 3x3 Rubik's Cube, an accomplishment about which I feel immensely proud, but she solved all the cubes, 5x5, 4x4, the tiny thing, the triangle thing. It's like, geez, kid, how'd you do that? And she's like, YouTube, Dad. It's like, wow, I got to get into this video thingy. So 21st century students are practiced users of digital technology. And so right now is the first time in the UC system where the majority of our starting students were born after the year 2000. It's a lot to think about, but they are different from us. So we can't assume anything about what they will or will not respond to. So students like clearly defined expectations, choice to be in control. They think very differently today about how information comes to them, very differently than we did, right? So how do you redesign this? Well, my goal was like, I got to take this boring lecture thing and just flip the class. And so my initial goal was, okay, I'm going to take the course material and put it online, okay, and some videos. And then in class, we're going to do some kind of fun, engaging stuff. And then what I realized is that I really need a baseline. I need to know that bringing them back into the class to do stuff would make any difference at all. And so what I decided was to flip the class to the extreme, which is, why don't we flip the class and you don't have to come to class at all. At all. But if you show up, I'll be there, and we'll have a whiteboard, and I'm going to do some sort of office hours kludge out of it. What'll happen? It's an experiment. I have no idea who's going to come, what's going to happen. And I figured when I first tried this, is like, if this doesn't work, if no one's watching the videos or doing anything, my fallback position is, okay, y'all are coming back to the classroom, and we're going to do this old school. So I had a fallback position, and that's why I kept the room. And I also did exams in the room. So I replaced the content of the lectures with videos into which PlayPosit questions were embedded, and I thought I'd use the class time for Q&A. The other parts of the course structure will be the same, except that we won't do any quizzes in the discussion. I got tired of making 8 different versions of the same quiz, and the TAs are no good at making quizzes, not reliably or consistently. And so we'll just do group work and just mark students for attendance. So how do you do this? Well, I started with what was 28 lectures of about 50 minutes each, and one by one, I taught the course to myself at home with my own equipment and everything done by myself, and it turned out to be 64 topic videos. You have to chunk the lectures into smaller little units of average length 8 minutes and 15 seconds, and what was surprising to me, but turns out not to be surprising when anyone does this, is that the total length of those videos was only 9 hours, not 23. And that's because we're very inefficient in class, right? We pause, we repeat, we reflect, we take questions, we do clickers. So it's a very efficient, more compact presentation. And students really like that. Because I was free of all the class periods, I decided to give one more midterm, which I think single-handedly is responsible for the improvement in performance across the whole course, and not really anything that has to do so much with the structure. 3 midterms is better than 2, because each midterm's shorter, covers less material, and they have more chance to improve if they screw up. I also do these weekly overview videos each quarter, and that way I keep the topics fresh and can introduce. So this is all my equipment. The videos then consist mostly of PowerPoint desktop capture, mouse moving around, and text animated, and videos, and so on. But I did some stuff at a whiteboard as well. What's different about my videos is they always start with me reading out the topic to them on screen. This makes the videos personalized to me, so it's not just a disembodied voice narrating the videos, but it also lets them see me face to face. And I think that's an important component of these videos. I don't think a good study has been done about it, but just the talking voice is not quite enough. You look at YouTube channels. That was my model for this. YouTube channels always start with the presenter face to face. There's a difference between that and just a straight up narration. It took me 250 hours to make the videos, not all at once. It took me about 50 hours to caption them all, and it took me another 50 hours to insert questions. How many questions? They see 350 embedded questions across the entire course, which is a lot. So the only things that really changed were to make the lectures optional, increase the number of midterms by 1, and replace all of the lecture presentation with videos, and drop the quizzes from discussion. And so what are the questions? They come up every 2 minutes in the videos. They're multiple choice. The PlayPosit supports other modes. I didn't want to be busy grading those, so I just made them all multiple choice like the exams. And I made the questions of exam level difficulty. The goal here was to program in expectations immediately after the material was presented. They'll see me describe the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis, and immediately they're getting questions on the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis equivalent to the questions from past exams. Why? They need to know at what level I'm expecting them to learn it. That way they can back up in the video, check what it is, and they're like, wow, dude wants me to know that, what this is, what that is, and so on. And I give credit only for correct answers. Yeah, students can cheat. They're the same questions for everybody, but it turns out that's not a major issue. I only gave about 14% points total. And every question has the opportunity for you to put in feedback. So yes, you got it right because of this. No, you got it wrong because of that. I do allow rewinding of the videos, but of course, no fast forwarding. They're like, skip, 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 I'm done. No, not going to happen. And we can track their performance in real time, as you'll see. So I wanted to just take a minute to show you what this looks like before telling you how it worked. And this is kind of what it is. I think if I hit play. So every video starts with me. Yes, they get to see me. So they get to see learning outcomes put up front. I didn't willy-nilly create these. I thought about what I wanted them to know. I put that up front. I don't think students really do anything with learning outcomes except wish they could fast forward through them, but I do them anyway. And then they get to see, you'll recognize this is one of the Campbell figures. I've gone in and replaced them all with drawings of my own design for various reasons. That's what PlayPosit looks like. The video stops. The question comes up. That can be changed. The insertion point can be changed. The answers are scrambled. You choose an answer. You hit submit. They get feedback. And then they resume the video with a continue button. Every 2 minutes, they're getting one of these things. And so the other features that are built into PlayPosit that are really very useful for instructors. So my videos all end with a summary. So it's nicely bookended. And after that, they have a button where they submit their score. From the control deck, you can view the responses of the students in real time. Turns out 1/3 of the students will do the videos early. 2/3 of them will do them within 3 hours of when they're due. They're 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds. You can see who's getting stuff right and wrong. You can even see, well, which question is that a lot of people seem to be getting wrong? Oh, it's about ATP and electron transport chain. Well, no wonder, right? And so you can actually monitor that in real time. And so it's a pretty useful set of resources that works for PlayPosit and for instructors. Okay. So I ran this for the first time last summer, and I had about 57 students. Well, actually, I had exactly that. It wasn't a round number. And they had the same makeup as I'd had in previous summer sessions or regular offerings. And I can tell you I've since done this to a regular 300-seater in spring quarter this year, and then again in summer with similar results. And so how did this work? Well, unlike the attendance, which was at 30% by week 4, right? You saw that. Compliance with the videos was greater than 95%. This blew my mind. Greater than 95% of them are watching my happy face at 1x speed and clicking answers on these questions. Now, they're probably working in groups. They're sharing answers. I don't care. My face is in front of them. My voice is in front of them. And they're complying to the tune of 95% across the quarter, even throughout. About 10 to 15% of students will attend a class like this. And I do interactive office hours at a whiteboard. And so I've made a big class small. And as I'll tell you later, it's tremendously satisfying to be in a room where those students, they wanted to be there. That is terrific. And I saw surprisingly improved outcomes in sort of some simple metrics that weren't the best, but it was a start. So I reused in this first offering exam questions that they did not have access to and used the item analyses to find that on average they were scoring about 5% higher. These are multiple choice questions than from the same questions embedded in previous offerings. So my conclusion was that it's at least as good as a regular class, at least the traditional structure. The average grades have actually improved, and that's largely because of having 3 midterms instead of 2. They perform better on those. And also point allocation to PlayPosit. They get about 70% of those questions right on average. And also just allocating about 10% of the points to discussion attendance rather than anything else that goes on there. And so now the majority of the major class of grade is now a B instead of a C. and the failure rates are a little bit lower. And so compared with past, I know that we don't like the evaluations, but compared with past offerings on these various criteria, I gained a good understanding. Those numbers have gone up. Instructor was effective as a teacher overall. These numbers have gone up, and this was really surprising to me because 80-something, 85% of the students have never seen me teach. They've just been watching videos. And so they also have gone up in saying the course was an excellent learning experience. I know we're running short on time. Survey results show that students really like this stuff, the stuff on the right. That stuff on the left is I used the textbook. No one uses the textbook. And at the bottom, I would like it if more of my courses were offered this way. The reviews had terrific comments. What a great idea. This was better than the usual lectures. You can go back in what you said. You can rewind. They're captioned. Every word I say is captioned. They can watch them anytime after they've done the questions. No time was wasted, so that's the 9 hours instead of 28. And I felt like I was getting a one-on-one from the instructor himself. That surprised me. They're watching a TV screen of me, and they feel like I'm teaching them directly. That's probably in part because it's my voice, my videos, and I'm shown at the very front of it. As an instructor, I never have to worry about getting through a slide deck like I'm worrying right now. My exam content is 100.0% predictable. I'm not going to structure the exam on what I get to by lecture 3 or whatever it is, because I know exactly what they're going to watch and when it's due. I can make my midterms now. You're immune to holidays and so on, and it's very satisfying to have made a big class into a small class, because I only ever see face-to-face the students that want to see me face-to-face. Real-time monitoring of engagement, you can share the videos with instructors, and of course the prep time since then has been greatly reduced, and now it's amenable to other types of designs. In particular, I'm now transitioning to a fully online version. I've moved almost all of it online. Let's just move the discussions now, and we'll be done via ILTI. And that's it. Thank you.